This is a Fox News alert. I'm Jesse Waters, and something for Waters World viewers, I'm debuting a new hairstyle. Check it out. We're going to weigh in on it later in the show. But first, the return of Barack Obama. That is the subject of tonight's Waters Words. The former president has been relatively quiet since leaving office, but popped up in South Africa this week. You could tell Obama was angry that his legacy has been erased. He lashed out at the man who did the erasing.
Unfortunately, too much of politics today seems to reject the very concept of objective truth. People just make stuff up. We see the utter loss of shame among political leaders where they're caught in a lie and they just double down and they lie some more.
We all know he's calling the President Trump, a liar. But President Obama, have you no shame?
If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor, period. If you like your health care plan, you will be able to keep your health care plan, period.
There is no spying on Americans. We don't have a domestic spying program.
There are neighborhoods where it's easier for you to buy a handgun and clips than it is for you to buy a fresh vegetable.
Now, to be fair, all politicians bend the truth. Some are just smoother than others. But Barack, you lied about terror attacks, your tax policy, your scandals. The difference? The media covers Trump's fibs and covered up yours. Speaking of the press.
The free press is under attack. Censorship and state control of media is on the rise.
President Obama didn't attack the press as much as Trump does. He didn't need to, because 90% of the media was on his side. And there's been more fake news about Trump in 1 year than there was in 8 years under Obama. Let that sink in. Let's not forget, though, when Obama went after the media, he went pretty hard. You know, he spied on reporters from the AP and Fox News, constantly attacked this network. The Espionage Act, he used it almost more than any other president combined to go after reporters and leakers. And even the Washington Post said it was the least transparent administration of all time. But President Obama told his audience in Africa, "We are living in strange times."
They are strange. And they are uncertain. With each day's news cycles bringing more head spinning and disturbing headlines.
I remember being disturbed at headlines during your administration. Remember? Our president bows to foreign leaders. Racial riots all over streets across America. A rash of domestic terror attacks. A young woman shot dead by a deported illegal alien felon. The worst economic recovery since World War II. And remember our president laughing, golfing, and fist-bumping after an American was beheaded? It's like Obama's got no self-awareness at all. Here's another example.
You can be proud of your heritage without denigrating those of a different heritage.
I guess Obama doesn't agree with his own pastor.
I am so glad that I got a God who knows what it is to be a poor black man in a country and a culture that is controlled by and run by rich white people. He taught me, Jesus did, how to love my enemies. Jesus taught me how to love the hell out of my enemies.
And Barack Obama was married by that guy, Reverend Wright. And he sat in those pews for 20 years. But now it says Trump gives license to bigotry. Recall the media spiked this picture of Obama with Farrakhan. Total hypocrisy, which leads us to this.
There's only so big a house you can have. There's only so many nice trips you can take. I mean, it's enough.
Is it, though? Here's Barack Obama enjoying a tropical trip on billionaire Rich Branson's world-class yacht. And here is the $8 million mansion that the Obamas purchased after leaving the White House. Notice how it has a little wall around it? For security. I thought walls were racist. I guess not. So I think President Obama should take advice from another former president.
I don't think it's good for the country to have a former president undermine a current president. I think it's bad for the presidency, for that matter.
And I totally agree. Here with reaction, former White House Communications Director for President Trump, Anthony Scaramucci. All right, Anthony, what do you think about that?
Well, it's politics in America. That's probably politics globally. There's a level of hypocrisy that takes place, and so you and I know the cliche that when are politicians lying is when their lips are moving, and
right.
so we know that. And so, but I do think he was playing to his audience, and that's what politicians do. He's a very good orator. He's got the best smile in American politics since Jack Kennedy, and so he's able to use that to good effect. But I think he is making a mistake. I think President Bush is correct that we should probably get out of the presidential president-to-president denigration business because it's bad for the presidency, but it's also bad for the United States. We don't need to be doing that. And so, and I will just say this, and you probably feel the same way. I have a lot of international business. When I'm off the shore of the United States, I never criticize President Obama or the Obama administration. We're all Americans, and so I think it's an unfortunate thing to be doing over there.
Do you think the president, because I don't think he has any self-awareness, do you think he realizes the toll he took on this country when it came to race relations, when it came to the economic wage stagnation, when it came to our foreign policy? Does he get that there are a lot of people in this country that think what he did overseas and domestically took the United States a decade backwards?
So let me slice into one of those things and hit it very hard, and that's the economy. And so what I really do think is that he had left-leaning policies, and he had never really run a business or made payroll like President Trump has done. And so what ends up happening is you don't realize how bad these left-leaning policies are until you're actually in business. George McGovern, you remember George McGovern,
Mm-hmm.
the great senator that ran against Richard Nixon? He opened a bed and breakfast after he left the Senate. He couldn't believe the regulations that were in place, and he went out of business after 2 years. And you can go Google this. It's a Wall Street Journal editorial. He wrote an editorial and said, my God, if I only knew what I know now about business, I would have never voted for all those regulations.
We should make Bernie Sanders open all of that coffee shop.
All of that crazy stuff. So you know, the president was misguided on the economic policies, and so what you got to give President Trump huge credit for, he gets the economic policies right. He goes 10 for 10 on economic policies. And look at the African-American unemployment rate. Look at the Hispanic-American unemployment rate at historic recorded lows.
Yeah, and the numbers are great. And the president actually addressed that.
He goes, you know, race, I want to leave alone.
Yeah, that's right. He goes, just because the economy's humming doesn't mean everything else can go to hell. And I think the president today, President Trump, thinks he can get away with anything because the economy's good. But people and his enemies nitpick on the little stuff that doesn't really matter, that doesn't affect the average American's life. But I want to talk about civility because we just talked about it at the top. And our friend Judge Jeanine Pirro went on The View to sell a book that she's been hawking, and it got a little feisty. Here's an exchange with Whoopi Goldberg.
I'm 62 years old. There have been a lot of people in office that I didn't agree with, but I have never, ever seen anything like this. I've never seen anybody whip up such hate. I've never seen anybody be so dismissive. Here's my question for you, because you talk about, I don't have Trump derangement. Let me tell you what I have. Okay. I have a lot of, I'm tired of people starting a conversation with Mexicans, liars, and rapists.
Well, but you know what's horrible? When people who shouldn't be here end up murdering the children of American citizens.
You know what's horrible? When the president of the United States whips up people to beat the hell out of people. No. Say goodbye.
All right, so they cut to break, and then allegedly she gets booted off the headquarters, booted off the studio lot afterwards, and all hell broke loose. This isn't supposed to happen. You invite someone on your show, you're supposed to treat them with respect. She wouldn't even let her answer the question. This is par for the course, I think.
Well, I would add something, and I give the judge huge respect on this front. They added Anna Navarro to the show, and so what usually happens on these shows, you go 3-on-1. You know, if I'm on Bill Maher's show, it's like 6-on-1. You know, and so what they did was they didn't think they had the firepower there to handle her, and so they brought Anna on.
Yeah,
and so
Anna's
it's like,
CNN.
It's like
liberal.
4 liberals. You know, Megan is obviously not a liberal, but you know, so it's 4-on-2 if you want to say it. But
sure.
But I think her her book, which we didn't mention, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals.
Right.
That's a pretty tough title for a show like that.
They were angry, okay? Just reading the
just
title.
Reading that. Okay, wait a minute. There's a couple of us may be on this book title. You know, so that was like rough, you know. And I don't say they're leakers or liars, but those are very liberal people.
Very liberal people. And you went on that show. Did they treat you with any respect, or was it kind of out of the gates they tried to hammer you?
Yeah, they were coming full, they were coming at me very hard in the beginning. And then I would say to you that the second show I went on, and this is what I find always happens, Jesse, when people meet you and they all of a sudden realize that you're not the caricature that the liberal media is painting of you. You're not that two-dimensional figure, but you actually have a family. You're a nice guy with a reasonable sense of humor. They have to relax a little bit. And so what we need to do in our country is less demonization and more personalization and just relax. We're all Americans.
Right.
Why don't we take a chill with each other?
So when
play a little beer pong.
That's right. And Anthony and I are going to be playing beer pong against the 2018 national champs at the end of the show, so stick around for that. Anthony's been getting loose in the green room.
Yeah,
so
very loose.
He's very loose. A little too loose. We got to tighten that up.
Very loose, and my belly's empty, so I can drink all beer.
That's right.
Non-alcoholic beer.
Of course. You know, there's a lot of policies in place here. So Maxine Waters, speaking of Whoopi Goldberg's disrespectful behavior, Maxine Waters, who, as we know, called for people to be chased out of restaurants, you know, get in their faces, run them out of town. There was a little counter-protest that never materialized outside around her office out in California, but a bunch of her supporters showed up, and you know what they did? They burned an American flag. Maxine Waters' supporters burned an American flag and chanted, "America was never great." Now, to say that Maxine Waters is the face of the Democratic Party, as Donald Trump has said, I think is just a devastating political blow to them in the midterms, because she is really hurting the party, and the more and more she does and says and her supporters act like this, the worse it's going to be in the midterms.
Well, I mean, listen, the violent stuff is also nonsensical, but I'm red-letter guy as it relates to the flag. I think you have to stand for the flag and not burn the flag. And I think there should be some level of unconditionality of love for the country, even though people have faced discrimination. Italians have, Irish have. Obviously, the African-American community came in bondage, which is a horrific stain on the nation. But we're moving forward, and we're making progress, and we're trying to make things fairer for everybody in the society. And so this sort of behavior, I think, sets us back. And I think it sends a symbol that we're not thinking about it as a community. Okay, the flag represents all of us. Don't step on it. Don't burn the flag. And by the way, we have many men and women have died for that flag.
That's a great point.
Over 242 years. And so, and we have many men and women that have been wounded as a result of fighting for our freedom. Stepping on the flag is uncool. Don't do it.
Do you think that Maxine Waters has a responsibility to come out and condemn the supporters who are in her district, outside of her office, burning an American flag? Because I think she should say something.
I do, but she won't do that because she's going to play to that base of people.
That's a fringe base, Anthony. She's burning the flag.
But here's what these guys have done. The people on the fringe, as she represents the fringe, they know that stoking anger and getting people riled up, they will show up at the polls, okay? One of the things that President Trump said before the election, which I remember thinking, he said, if they're waiting for me for 8 hours in the rain to hear me speak in an arena, don't you think they're going to show up on November 8th to vote for me?
And they did.
So there was a tremendous amount of passion and emotion related to the election. They were really trying to reject the return of Clintonism.
It's a passion
she's doing it in the opposite
effect. It's a passion based on policy that they like from the president,
love of country.
And love of country.
Yes.
And these people, although I would say that's passionate, a lot of that's passionate hatred. And disrespect.
I agree with that. And so I think the best way to make change is if you've got something you're upset about, let's litigate it, let's argue about it, and then let's win at the ballot box. Okay?
Or we will win at the beer pong
I got
table.
guys that don't like my support. We're going to win at the ping pong.
Because,
let me tell you something.
Because we're playing beer pong later in the show.
If we don't win at the ping pong table, we're going to go out so gloriously. You and I are going to ride into the sunset together, Lone Ranger and Tonto.
There's no way we're losing.
It's just going to happen.
It's not happening, all right?
All right, amen.
All right, stick around for that. But first, long-lost footage of Hillary Clinton. Where do you see this?
Are you riding? Say you never ever leave from beside me. 'Cause I want you, and I need you. And I'm down for you always, KB.
Look at the sanctions I put on. Look at the diplomats I threw out. Look at all of the things that I've done Nobody else did what I've done. Obama didn't do it. Obama was a patsy for Russia. He was a total patsy. Look at the statement he made where he thought the mics were turned off, okay? The stupid statement he made. Nobody does a big deal about that. Getting along with President Putin, getting along with Russia is a positive, not a negative.
Right. President Trump reminding people how President Obama dealt with Russia, or didn't. Democrats attacking the president for reaching out to Russia, but we uncovered some long-lost footage of Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who did the exact same thing.
Our goal is to help strengthen Russia. We see Russia with the strong culture, with the incredible intellectual capital that Russia has, as a leader in the 21st century.
Russia has been an ally. You know, they're in the P5+1 talks with us. They have worked with us in Afghanistan and have been very helpful in the Northern Distribution Network and in other ways. So I think it's somewhat dated to be looking backwards instead of being realistic about where we agree.
Bill Spadia is a TV and radio talk show host. He joins me now. Wow, some new footage from Hillary.
How about that?
Doesn't sound like the same
Went to the closet, pulled that out?
I know. I mean, come on. I mean, the Democrats have been so soft on Russia.
Yeah.
Not just the last, 8 years under Obama, but I remember in the Cold War, they were waving the white flag. They were against everything Reagan was doing to get tough on the Soviet Union. Now they want to be tough? Come on.
Well, and then Obama had the apology tour right after he got into office. So this has been the way the Democrats have acted for decades. This is all about Trump, and no matter what he says, I mean, when the Democrats started talking about treason in the context of, hey, what did they want the president to do? Slap him or punch him or start a fight? It was outrageous.
Right. It's all because they're all just bitter because of the WikiLeaks thing, but that didn't move the needle at all. I mean, Hillary was a terrible candidate, and she never traveled to Wisconsin, and she fainted, and she had the Secret Service. She was under FBI investigation. That moved nothing. And to say traitor is kind of funny because Barack Obama, didn't he pay billions of dollars to the biggest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, Iran?
Not only that, but the president mentioned that mic comment that got picked up on a hot mic.
Whispering the
don't worry, after my last election, don't worry.
Right.
Come on, it's outrageous.
It's silly and it's
embarrassing, actually.
It is embarrassing, but they
Democrats.
can't feel embarrassment because they're incapable of feeling shame. One of the reasons is because the media doesn't ever call them out on this. Right. I mean, this is pretty easy to do. Everybody has access to this footage. She's a total flip-flopper, but she's been protected because the media, they were the ones that published all these WikiLeaks emails.
Well,
so they did Russia's dirty work for them.
And they don't want to talk about policy. They don't want to recognize that he had a successful meeting with the North Koreans. They don't want to recognize what's happening with jobs. They don't want to recognize all the progress that's being made in the economy, but the American people recognize it, and they're like, forget it.
Right. I wouldn't have said what he said at the Helsinki summit, but at the same time, he cleaned it up, and he's just trying to make the world a more peaceful place.
But there's a good point to be made about our intelligence community, too. That,
I know why he doesn't trust them.
I get that.
Yeah,
I get it.
We've seen why he doesn't trust them. Let's talk about Biden, because it's been on Trump's mind. He's been dreaming about Joe. Listen to what he said.
I dream about Biden. That's a dream. Look, Joe Biden ran 3 times. He never got more than 1%. And President Obama took him out of the garbage heap, and everybody was shocked that he did. I'd love to have it be Biden.
I think Democrats want a fresh face. And I know Biden looks like he's got a little, face work done. But he's like in his 70s. Yeah. I mean, he's been in the swamp his whole life.
He's a failed candidate. But what the media will focus on is the fact that he's only run twice instead of 3 times. So the whole issue is going to be that Trump misspoke. See, we told you there was a problem.
That's right. It feels like he's run 3 times because he's been on our TV screens for decades. I don't think he has a shot. I don't think he could even beat Bernie in the primary. He can't rig the primary against Bernie like Hillary. He doesn't have the cash. But I don't think he has the electricity, the fundraising capability. He can't draw a crowd. I mean, this guy was only cool because Obama tapped him to be VP.
Don't you think the Democrats are just scared right now? You've got mainstream or former mainstream potential candidates like Governor Murphy in New Jersey, Governor Cuomo in New York, and Senator Cory Booker, all these others lurching to the left. And I think a lot of mainstream Democrats feel like, where's our party going? We're going to be in trouble.
Well, they're going far left because that's where the energy is, but they're going to get caught out to dry in the general because the country, they don't want to abolish ICE. And they don't want to do that nutty stuff. It's not a Maxine Waters kind of party.
Protect the borders, lower my taxes, and I want a job.
That's right.
That's it.
All right, Bill. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jesse.
Up next, the new socialist superstar's big week of blunders. Wait till you see what she said. Tommy Lahren here to set her straight.
Live from America's news headquarters, I'm Robert Gray. Washington is reeling tonight from a new twist in the Mueller investigation. Now, the special counsel reportedly issuing a subpoena to Kristen Davis, the so-called Manhattan Madam. TMZ was first to report that Mueller wants to talk to Davis. She served time for her role in running a New York City prostitution ring. It's not clear what Mueller wants to ask her. What we do know is that Davis used to work for Roger Stone. The former Trump campaign advisor is facing increased scrutiny from the special counsel over his alleged contacts with Kremlin-linked hackers. The NTSB now investigating the cause of a duck boat accident on a Missouri lake. 17 of the 31 people on board were killed when the boat capsized during an intense squall on Table Rock Lake just outside of Branson on Thursday. Now back to Waters World.
Socialist millennial Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez hitting the campaign trail with Bernie Sanders this week after shocking the political establishment and taking out Pelosi's protege. But is she all sizzle and no steak? Here's what she said when questioned on Israeli-Palestinian relations.
You used the term the occupation of Palestine. What did you mean by that?
I think what I meant is like the settlements that are increasing in some of these areas and places where Palestinians are experiencing difficulty in access to their housing and homes.
Do you think you can expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd also I am not the expert on geopolitics on this issue.
That's for sure. Joining me now, Fox News contributor Tommy Lahren. Now, Tommy, you and I have been in situations where I'm sure we don't really know exactly what we're talking about, but we're able to fudge it, and we can wing it and at least pretend to kind of have a semblance of knowledge about the subject. You never throw your hands up and you say, I'm not an expert.
She's also running for office, so that makes it a little bit more disturbing. But Jesse, I gotta tell you, I used to love it when Hillary Clinton would come on TV because I thought that it would make it so much easier for us in November and in 2020, but I'm over Hillary. This is my new girl. I love to see her on TV. I think it's hilarious.
I do too. I think I'm going to donate to her campaign because I want her to go as far as possible in the Democratic Party. Maybe she could run on Biden's ticket. Maybe it could be Biden-Cortez. I like the sound of that.
I like the sound of it too, but you know, she's also a democratic socialist, and she's going to be campaigning with Bernie Sanders. You know, the young people are supposed to love socialism, but also young people love reality TV. So Jesse, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Why don't we take Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, why don't we drop them into the socialist nation of their choice and see how long they last?
I love that idea. I will call the executives at Fox right now and see if we can get that rolling. Now, this wasn't just one statement. She had a few. Let's hear what her opinion was on direct action in the streets. Roll it.
We have to have a rapid response. And I think every day that we go on, especially a day when something that heinous happens, we have to occupy all of it. We need to occupy every airport. We need to occupy every border. We need to occupy every ICE office.
I mean, she doesn't understand about the Israeli occupation, but she wants to occupy everything in America. I don't think this tactic is effective, do you?
I think it gets some people riled up, which of course it has because she's been somewhat successful. But I'll tell you that she also said she was going to take a lot of her policy direction from activists. And I have a question for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Which activists? Is it going to be the activists that riot, loot, and burn their local businesses? Or is it the activists that march around in the streets with reproductive organs on their head? I mean, which activist is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez going to be taking direction from her policy? Because as we know, she really doesn't have a lot of policy. policy experience. This isn't her strong suit, so I'm wondering where she's going to get it from.
Yeah, I don't think she knows. Maybe she can get it at Bernie's house. Let's listen to her take on capitalism and the unemployment rate. This one's my favorite. Roll it.
We look at these figures and we say, oh, unemployment is low, everything is fine, right? Well, unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs. Unemployment is low because people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I do think that right now, when we have this no-holds-barred, Wild West hyper-capitalism, what that means is profit at any cost. Capitalism has not always existed in the world, and it will not always exist in the world.
Okay, I mean, I hate the fact checker. Everyone has 2 jobs. The people with 2 jobs, and it's its lowest rate in about 11 years. But that's not even how the jobless numbers go down. That's not how the unemployment rate works. It's down because people are working. More Americans are working. I don't think she gets it.
She doesn't get it at all, but it just keeps getting better and better every time she opens her mouth. Like I said, I think it's wonderful. It's always interesting to watch a train wreck. But as I said earlier, she loves socialism so much, she doesn't think that capitalism is going to be around forever. So let's drop her in Venezuela. Let's have her live there. Let's just give her 6 months. Let's give her 6 months in Venezuela and see how well she likes it. I would like to document it.
I wouldn't give her 6 weeks. I wouldn't give her 6 weeks. You know what she reminds me of, Tommy? You remember when I used to go out and do those street interviews and talk to people and they were just totally clueless? She reminds me of a guest on Water's World. But my favorite was we have this wild, wild west capitalism. What is she talking about? It's like the most regulated economy of all time. I mean, Trump's kind of slashed those regulations, but, I mean, what world is she living in?
Well, not this world, and she obviously doesn't understand that capitalism is what allows us to flourish as a nation. It's what allows her to do things that she does day in and day out, and the young people that are listening to her, I hope that they understand that as well. But I think what she's trying to do is throw out flashy words like socialism because she thinks all the young people are going to flock to her because they flock to Bernie. But I think people are getting smarter, at least I would hope so.
You know what? I'm not ready to agree with people are getting smarter. I was been out in the streets recently, and it's slim pickings. And we're going to actually have Diamond and Silk next. They hit the streets. And Tommy, stick around for this one. We asked, who is a bigger threat to world peace, Putin or Trump? All right. And later, sharks. Diamond and Silk and sharks. Don't go anywhere.
Oh my God, we're back again. Brothers, sisters, everybody say.
Meeting in the media and on the left up in arms this week over the Trump-Putin meeting. So we wanted to know what the average American thinks. Who is a bigger threat, Trump or Putin? So we sent Diamond and Silk out to Palm Springs, California to find out.
Which one do you consider a threat? Trump or Putin?
Trump. He's tearing families apart, and that's so wrong.
Do you know Obama had children in cages, locked up in cages, wrapped in foil, and nobody said anything about it? Do you understand that?
We didn't know that. But
well, okay, yeah. You got to stop listening to the fake news.
Well, I would have to say, well, Trump is closer to us.
Okay.
So anyone who is closer to you is going to be a bigger threat.
Putin, jeez. Yeah.
I voted for Trump. I stand for Trump. And I think he's doing a great job. Probably the most successful president since Reagan. And if he is around 8 years, he'll be more successful. Trump.
Have you gotten a tax cut?
No.
You didn't get no tax cut?
Not yet.
Are you an American citizen?
No, thank you.
Okay, we understand.
Diamond and Silk, join me now. Was that guy an illegal alien?
We think he may have been an illegal alien, Jesse, yes. So but he was willing to talk to us, so we appreciate the fact that he would talk to us.
He got away from us very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people love you, and then other people run scared. Like the 2 white women were turned tail and skedaddled out of the shot. What were they so afraid of?
Well, you know what? First of all, they are afraid of being challenged.
Right.
And then some people don't want to be on camera. A lot of people support President Trump right here in California, which, you know, this is a very liberal state.
Right.
So to see these people that really support him, I'm like, it is like, he can flip this state red. We believe that the president can flip this state red.
Well, that is a very, very bold prediction, and we'll see how that plays out. So you had a lot of people that said Trump was a bigger threat to the world than Vladimir Putin. And these are regular people just walking around in California. What does that tell you guys?
Well, you know what? If anyone called him a threat, the way we told them was, yes, he's a threat to poverty.
That's right.
He's a threat to the left-wing media. He's a threat to everything that the left stands for, how they want people to barely be surviving and not thriving in this country.
That's right.
So that's how we spend it.
He's like Ray to roaches.
Okay, that makes sense. So
That's right.
Barack Obama, again, you know, he can do whatever he wants. He's not president anymore, but he's popping up all over the place. And he just really said some bizarre things. We showed at the top of the show. This is what he said about men.
Men have been getting on my nerves lately. I mean, I just, every day I read the newspaper and I just think, like, brothers, what's wrong with you guys? I mean, what's wrong with us? All right? I mean, we're violent, we're bullying, empowering more women on the continent. That right away is going to, I think, lead to some better policies.
I mean, shameless pandering by the former president, Barack Obama. It just sounds just lame. I mean, just who's buying that anyway?
Well, you know what, Jesse? The mall is open, but no one is shopping. No one is buying President Obama's sugar honey iced tea. He's not the president anymore. He doesn't have the clue. And somebody should tell him, we don't want to hear his opinion because we don't care. And you're right. We appalled with him at being a man and him not doing anything for our country. He need to go somewhere and just be quiet because we don't want to hear anything else he has to say.
That's right. So stop popping in. It's time to drop out.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are on fire over there in California. Now, President Trump, obviously, speaking of malls and people shopping, I guess you can buy this somewhere on Instagram. They're selling lynching President Trump T-shirts. It's called, like, Hanging with Trump. It's a clothing line. You know, I guess a bunch of libs in New York City put this out. Instagram's allowing this. They don't allow a lot of other stuff on the right, but this is okay for Instagram. I mean, just again, hurting Trump physically seems to be on the front of everyone's mind on the left in this country. Why do you think that is?
Well, you have to realize, this is what the left do. You have to realize that lynching, when we talk about lynching, the left promoted that back in the day. Remember, the Democratic Party, they promoted that. They were okay with that. But keep in mind now, when it comes to, this is the party that keeps saying that they are appalled about hate, yet they're promoting hate. Remember that. These are the lefties that keep saying, we don't like hate in this country, but you're the main one promoting it.
Right.
And again, Facebook owns Instagram. So it's not surprising to us that they let these
arch enemy, Facebook, Zuckerberg, you guys don't like him. All right, ladies, we got to run. Have fun out there in sunny Southern California. Up next, when sharks attack.
I like my stuff knocking, knocking. I love it when the girls be like jocking, jocking. The D-A-W-I-M-A-C. Yeah, you know me. I got you jumping and bumping and
That can only mean one thing. Shark Week is back. I'm pretty scared.
Had one with its pectoral fins down, looking hugely aggressive. It worried me a little bit.
This is the new shark. Peck down. He's really aggressive. Right. Look at my side.
What are you doing? Octopus shark.
Now, Jim Abernathy is a diver not afraid to come face-to-face with an array of sharks and hosts cage-free expeditions. Wow. He joins me now. So, Jim, people are swimming this summer, and, you know, they're with their families and the kids in the ocean. Should they be worried about sharks, especially since it's Shark Week?
Absolutely not. Sharks are one of the most misrepresented animals on the planet. And although there's lots of what I would look at as comical shark sensationalistic shows, the truth is the exact opposite.
You think sharks are overrated when it comes to their ferocity vis-a-vis humans? I mean, there was a shark attack off Fire Island in New York last week. A boy and a girl were bit. Life-threatening injuries, but still. And there was another one in Florida. Just 2 feet of water. You're telling me not to be afraid?
Sharks bite and kill less humans than any animal on the planet. What we should be afraid of is maybe the domestic dog, which bites 4 to 5 million people per year just in the United States. But it's very difficult to make the domestic dog look like a man-eater. It's much easier to pick on the shark because very few people actually live with them like I do. In fact, I don't know anyone else that lives there for even 1 year.
You live with sharks?
I live at sea 25 days a month for the last 2 decades, running shark expeditions with the world's largest, what is considered to be most dangerous predators. And yet I've never seen an aggressive shark towards a human.
Well, is Jaws lying to us, or is that just a movie?
Oh, it's a comical movie to me, and those of us in the shark world would agree. I mean, it's very, very difficult to find a shark actually, they're vilified as mindless man-eating monsters that want to eat us. But the truth is, even when they make a mistake, what is termed as a shark attack, when they make a mistake, they spit us back out because we quite simply aren't on their food chain.
Not trying to swallow us, and the bites are just kind of haphazard. We have some more footage from Shark Week, I guess, on the Discovery Channel. This is pretty harrowing. I don't know. Let's roll it.
They are all around us. That one just came right below my leg.
So right now there's a lot of sharks starting to show up. So things are starting to get a little dangerous.
They're getting closer and closer to the dark now. That was close.
So you're saying Shark Week is just sensationalist drivel in order to get ratings? There's not really a huge danger out there?
Exactly. There's no question. Those of us that swim with sharks on a daily basis, I mean, there's over 500 shark diving operations worldwide that actually use fish to attract sharks so that we can swim with them. And the incident rate of an accident happening put shark diving in between the two sports of badminton and bowling.
Well, here's what I would do, and tell me if I'm wrong. If a shark ever tried to bite me, this is what I would do. I would take my suntan lotion, squirt its eyes out, try to blind it. Or if I had a stick in the ocean, like driftwood, and it opened its jaws like that, I'd stick the stick right in the middle so it chomped down and then couldn't bite, and then I'd swim away.
Well, good luck with that, but I doubt you'll ever have the opportunity because as long as if you want some good advice, stay away from places where people are fishing.
Okay, that is good advice, and I will do that. All right, have a great summer and stay safe down there with your friends, the Sharks. Up next...
Join me sometime. Thank you.
Not cage-free. Up next, the Mooch and I play beer pong. I can't believe it. Time now for Last Call. World Series of Beer Pong tournament in Las Vegas this week. I'm joined now by the 2018 champs, Brandon Clark and Matthew Klein, also known as Team Troop Unchained. They're here to take on the Mooch and me. All right, boys, here we go. Professional rules. You guys start. Let's do this.
Are we allowed to trash talk these guys?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's a big part of the game.
Boys. Oh! These guys are the champs? These guys are the champs?
That was good.
All right, we'll start it off.
See, that's this is how I beat my kids in one-on-one basketball.
Oh! You're up. No!
Pretty good.
All right, you're in the zone now.
Not bad, though.
You're in the zone.
Not bad. All right, let me go back to the... Oh, now he's all comfortable and everything. National television, he got himself all comfortable.
Those kicked in.
Oh,
so painful. It was going to be very painful for Jesse and I, but we're taking it like the true good sports that we are.
That's how cocky we are.
Yeah, that's what happens. Okay.
Ah, I'm off. I'm off.
We should have gotten like 2-1 on shots. Right. What? Me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we needed a little handicap.
Hey! Come on, peanut gallery. Let's go here, okay? Let's go
They've
here.
been laughing the whole time.
Yeah, I can see that.
At us.
Okay, no, hold on. Hold on.
There it is. We got him right where we want.
Let me start shaking my tie.
Oh, this is the last cup.
Ah, brother. All right, let me go back with the bad juju. Bad juju.
None! Damn.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Fox News Corporation, I want to congratulate these two people.
All right, Brandon, Matthew, guys, thank you very much. The mooch, not as bad as I thought.
Yeah, at least I got one.
All right, be sure to check out our Twitter poll. Let me know if you like my new haircut or the old one better. That's all for us tonight. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Justice with Judge Janine is next. And remember, I'm Waters, and this is my world.
Your world.
Let's flip the crack to the old school.